Here.
Here.
Would you all please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would you pray with me? Gracious God, as we come to you this day to begin another session of the Carl Junction Board of Aldermen, we ask that you impart upon us your wisdom and guidance so that we may promote justice, assist those in need, and provide for the overall well-being of the citizens of Carl Junction. It's in your most holy name we pray. Amen.
Okay, next up on the agenda, we have to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mike Burns, second by who went? Roger? Rick.
One of us.
All those in favor of approving the agenda, please raise your right hand. 7 in favor, no opposed. 6? Oh, I voted, don't I?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I didn't raise my hand, I counted myself, does that count? Okay, next, we have to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Mike Burns, second by Rick Flynn. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 7 in favor, none opposed. Okay, next, public forum. Is there anybody who wishes to speak to the council in public forum? If you're here for the annexation hearing, you'll get time here in a minute. Public forum, anyone? I wanted Steve to have to read that.
I'm ready.
Okay, nobody for public forum. Next, we have a P&Z case. This is a public hearing. Case 21-07, annexation of 54.4 acres, Rainer and Alana Schultz. This is a public hearing. I now call this hearing to order.
P&Z heard this case.
What?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anyone, first of all, that would like to speak in favor of the annexation?
P&Z heard this case and they are recommending approval. And we have Terry Mitchell here representing Rainer and Alona Schultz.
Would you like to speak in representation of them?
Yes, so I'm Terry Mitchell here in Carl Junction, and we are seeking to annex this in to build eventually a neighborhood of around 160 homes and connect it into the trail back behind here. And it'll be just a really nice neighborhood. It's going to be higher end homes and stuff. So we just really look forward to building Carl Junction grow, because there's not a lot of places that we can grow in Carl Junction without developing a new neighborhood.
And you say 160
Yeah,
homes?
approximately 160.
When you say higher end, I mean, how many square footage and stuff like that?
It'll be, 1,600 and up. 1,600 and up to 3,000.
Sounds nice.
Does anyone else have any questions? Thank you very much. Anyone else in favor of the annexation? Okay, anyone opposed? All right. At this time, if no one has any other comments, we will close the public hearing. The hearing is closed. Okay, our next is ordinance amending, oh, good grief. Ordinance amending ordinance 21-08 and adding classification pay for the school resource officer. I would entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to put this ordinance on first reading by title only.
Second.
Motion by Mike Barnes, second by Roger Spencer. Clerk read.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 21-08 establishing salaries for the city employees effective May 1st, 2021 by adding a school resource officer.
Any comments, any questions from the council? If not, I would entertain a motion for second reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Gary Stubblefield, second by Rick Glenn, to put this on second reading by title only.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 21-08 establishing salaries for the city employees effective May 1st, 2021 by adding a school resource officer.
Question, you say effective May 1st, 2021, are you retroactively?
That's my language. It's amending ordinance 2108, which was effective May 1st.
Okay, I understand.
This is effective upon passage of this ordinance. It is not retroactive. It is not a retroactive ordinance. The school resource office is only funded upon adoption of this ordinance. Okay. Grammatical,
Sure. The question then was back pay, I guess is what I was wondering.
that's not what's intended.
This pay that you're amending there is a one-time annual pay that we do at the end of the year for certification as an SR.
I'll make a motion to put this on final passage.
Okay.
Motion by Mike Burns, second by Gary. Did you do that first?
Yes.
Gary Stubblefield. To put this on final passage, this is a hand vote. All those in favor? 7-0. Now, here's the thing. We're going to vote electronically. You adapt and change when you have problems. So Steve, would you please read the tote board after the vote?
Yes.
All right, everyone vote.
Seven in favor, none against.
All right, the ordinance passes 7-0. Mary Beth, what is our?
Ordinance 21-35.
Okay, reports, administration reports. Steve, do you have anything to add to your report? Does anyone have any questions?
Add to it, last Friday, we received $139,000 from the ARPA money, which was not the correct amount. Emailed the Office of Administration, had to re-email our budget to them. We protested.
A peaceful
Because it was
protest.
supposed to be $800 and some thousand dollars that we were supposed to get. They will give us the remaining money this Friday of $669,000 or thereabout. And then we'll receive the final disbursement in about a year.
So that was good news.
That is good.
Yes. I almost
And of course, the
swallowed my
MML
phone.
conference next week. Majority of the staff will be at that, and a bunch of you will also be at that also. So
Anyone have any other questions for our city administrator? If not, we will move on to department reports. And I know we had some that were laid here. If you all have had a chance to look over them. Public Works, does anyone have any questions or comments on the Public Works report? We have a new superintendent, so we need to hit him with any questions.
It looks good.
Looks good.
What was going on over in your neighborhood where they have the street all torn up off for?
Isn't that sewer line? Are they extending the sewer lines for?
Actually, had two things. There was a couple of water leaks over there that were pretty bad, and then they've got the sewer line work that they're doing for the new Dollar General.
Oh, okay.
One of the water leaks was like just down at the end of our block. I know they had to come shut it off. All
Steve, I don't
know
know if you have answered this. First thing is dug out Hodge Street. I know last meeting we had a resident came in and mentioned that Hodge Street was in pretty bad shape. Is that what he means by dug out Hodge Street?
Yes,
Okay. Place bad spots.
took the bad spots out of the cold mix in.
Then just, I guess, talking about that, I've noticed that the big trucks are going a different route now. Somebody talked about it.
Yeah, well, I did send them an email, so maybe it helped.
Now they're driving in front of my house, so.
Oh, no. Here we go. You should have spoken public forum, sir. I'm sorry. Okay, that's Public Works Police Department. You also have here, I don't know if anybody's had a chance to go over all of that from our interim chief. Police Department had kind of an exciting week. I don't know if you all heard the news. Had a pipe bombing on York, so we never had that problem under the old chief, but. Sorry. If anyone has any questions or comments,
I do.
yes, Mr. Sebel.
A resident by the name of Amanda McGehee had a bad experience with her children at Memorial Park. And, feels that maybe it could be policed better. She did not call the police to let them know, but she rather put it on Facebook. I did happen to see it, and I think that it's still a great opportunity to follow up with some youth that are there and some things going on, which maybe you can address, or probably maybe the parents could better. But anyway, she had a little complaint about Memorial Park, and so I just wanted to put it on the record to relay for her. I felt this was a much better forum than Facebook.
You'll get more accomplished if you
But
go through this. form.
absolutely,
So,
contact
yeah.
people that can help you rather than put it in a.
Got a question on that. At one point, we had a little bit of vandalism to the pavilion there, and we talked about getting some security cameras. Is that anything? Do we have anything at Memorial there? Mentioned at
No,
one
we
point.
do not. The problem we have is there's no internet access there to get pictures of that. We did have, at one time, we've used game cams.
Right.
Somebody stole.
Somebody stole the game cams.
That's the thing, you almost have to have a real time, even like a ring security system would be better than nothing, but like say you've got to have that internet,
Yeah,
hooked up
internet
where
access.
you can save images or see it real time. And here just a few weeks ago, what, 2 or 3 weeks ago, they had arson. They set the dumpster on fire. I mean, we do have some real issues in that park. I don't know, maybe if we can just, maybe if the police can up the patrol there. But the bad thing is, like say, if you got a bunch of kids that are running down there at night, like say when the minute they see a car coming, they're gonna hide and scatter.
I just feel this is a great opportunity to say that we have a very receptive group of leaders that would address any problem in our city. And it's always best to reach out to the city or the individuals in our community that can make it happen, rather than talk about it afterwards on social media. Let's give everyone an opportunity to show that we are the best, and we challenge our residents to step forward and be part of the process.
And I don't know, I know some communities have them in the past, some haven't because of liability and everything. But is it a situation where we maybe have some neighborhood watches around the parks? I think we need to figure out some kind of solution because the damage that's happening to it and the families that get ran
But if you
off.
see something, you probably need to speak up then. so we can all.
It doesn't help them investigate anything when they find out 3 days after the fact or the next morning. So I appreciate you bringing that up because we have invested in the parks. Not only have we made an investment, but the parks are there for people to enjoy. And if they're getting ran off by vandals or hoodlums or cranky old men that tell people get off their grass. All right. I did not see, did we have a report from Greg in the packet?
No.
Okay, didn't know if I'd skipped over it. Court report was last time.
We get one every time.
Is there another one this time? I think there was, because I think I had a question for you, and I don't remember what it was.
Run the reports now from 2 different systems, so.
Uh-huh.
this is what they had.
Okay, I had a question, but it's not anything we have to address here, so I needed clarification on, so I'll get with you later on. Committee reports, budget usually goes first, but I'm gonna go last because I'm getting these. Public facilities, Bob, Bluegrass is coming up Saturday. Spotlighting our city park. There you go. HR, Roger.
Nothing.
It's been my mother. Everyone else is blocked.
Codes.
No.
Nothing. I will go ahead with budget. We had our meeting tonight at 6, discussing some changes to salaries, ways to bring some salaries more in line, make them more competitive. That we're going to have to do some further research on, have some more meetings, look at some of pay scales that may need adjusted, that kind of thing. So no vote, no action really was taken on that. We did talk about, for the people who weren't there, it was brought to our attention that we do have some of our ballistic vests that have expired. So we will be replacing, I think there's 4 in total, and 2 of them we can replace through a DOJ grant. We also talked about we were getting the OSHA parkas, the old parkas with reflective striping. We are ordering new parkas for the PD and Public Works. So it will make their job a lot safer when they're out working accidents or working traffic stops or working construction. Other than that, we will be, once we actually get the money, because we are not going to count our chickens before they are hatched. We've learned that from the state of Missouri. When we actually get ARP money in, I'm sure we will be holding some more meetings and determine what we're going to do for the first phase. Other than that, Senior Citizens Committee. Do we have anything? Richard?
We are open, good thing. And one of the good things about that as well is there are lots of newer folks coming. And some of those are on the younger side of the senior citizen age group. So hopefully they can take some leadership roles in the local administration of the senior center there. That's good. The sad news is that we have lost one of the best volunteers that Carl Junction has. I would even say Southwest Missouri. Ron Forbes passed away, as you all know, a couple of weeks ago. I think there's a service tomorrow night over at the church. But
Thursday.
Thursday. Oh, Thursday. You're right, Thursday. They were just volunteering people. They were on the go all the time volunteering, and we are going to miss them. And Carl Junction is going to miss him. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Gary, did you have anything to add?
No, just grateful for everything Ron and Mary have done.
I would echo that. I don't think when you have somebody, well, Richard Zaccardelli, I called him this week, and his statement, which we put in, was he was a gem. And I don't think we will ever be able to repay everything he did for the city, for the seniors. I just hope maybe we attempt to by carrying on those deeds and actions. I appreciate you bringing that up, Richard. Unfinished business. Bob, we will start with you. Any unfinished business? Gary?
I just want to follow up on last meeting when we talked about Bill Stansberry's concerns, and they've already been addressed, and thank you.
Rick? Roger?
Nothing.
I have nothing unfinished. Mike?
Earlier in the meeting, we had a public hearing. Usually there's an ordinance that follows that. Is there no ordinance to?
We have to wait at least 14 days for there to be objections filed.
Okay.
Once that time period expires, then we go back to an ordinance that actually annexes the property, and the council will have a opportunity to vote it up or down.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you. Jim?
Nothing.
Elena?
No, ma'am.
Mary Beth?
No, ma'am.
Crystal?
No, ma'am.
Steve?
A couple items. Last meeting talked about moving containers out there for Frank Dean Park to get that shed up out of the floodplain and do away with that building. Cost of the containers are anywhere between $3,300 a piece and up to $5,700 a piece, depending on the quality of the container that you get. These are 8.5 foot wide by 20 foot long, which is about the same size as what the building is that's down there now. And there would be 2 of them is what we would use.
Okay.
Sewer cam reimbursement from MIRMA. We bought a sewer cam earlier this year and applied for a grant with MIRMA at their loss control grant. And we will be getting partial reimbursement on that camera from MIRMA.
Do you know how much they reimburse? Is it like half or?
$6,000.
He'll be coming, hopefully, either the first or second meeting in October to present this.
So. Okay, so on the containers, Steve, is that just something you're gonna work with Public Facilities Committee maybe, or see what all of you for sure need, or budget, or?
Budget would be the only thing because pretty much let BYAA kind of drive what they needed down there, and they said 2 containers up on that berm, and they got a location for them that they would like to put them. So it's just a matter of allocating the money and getting them bought.
Okay, and that's something, that's gonna be a purchase price that will have to go through council vote, what's our?
Yes, it will.
So maybe we can take a look at that and try to get it on the next agenda.
But is there anything that you do extra to those containers to make them a little bit more tamper-proof? You know, if it's possible to buy a super heavy-duty lock, you know, something like that, because we don't want the same thing to happen. The reason we're buying these containers is because the shed is broken too. Is there something that we can do to?
I think I'll leave buying the locks up to BYAA. That way they have their keys or their code, whatever they put on it. These containers are a lot more secure than what ours is by the makeup of them. I will reinforce the idea to them that they need to have really good locks on them.
Yeah, because that building down there has an alarm system.
Get Mr. Talley.
Oh, I forgot Mr. Talley.
That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Talley, does the city attorney have anything?
No.
I forgot.
That's quite all right.
ED, do we have anything unfinished?
New business.
New business, we'll start at the other end. Jim,
I have no new business.
Mike,
Yes, I have a few things. I have a picture that I passed along. Anybody that wants to see this picture, It was dated April 30th, 2017. That picture is from Remington Circle looking south onto the new Fall Creek development. And it's a bad picture because I only have a black and white photo, but what you're seeing is the creek. That is one of the multiple times it's flooded since I've lived there in the last decade. And where the creek is, there are currently slabs, and there'll be homes there in a couple of months. There's 3 or 4 slabs that are right here in the middle of the creek. Okay, and apparently there's nothing we can do to stop that. I understand that. And so my questions today are: it looks as though they built a trench, a moat, if you would, around a couple of these slabs, and they know it's going to be underwater at some point, so they put a moat around them. And some of the residents that live on Remington, where this picture was taken, and others have asked me, do we know what's going to happen when the intention is to divert the creek? It looks like the trench that they are building currently is going to be diverting the creek northward, right? So closer to the house than it is now, which is about 30 yards away from the back door of this house. And as we divert that water closer, what's going to happen to the existing homes? I know the homes that they're putting there are going to flood. It's a given. But what's going to happen to the existing homes that haven't flooded before? Is this something that we can have our engineer look at, the plan that they have? I know we have a plat there, and they're building houses in the middle of the creek, but they're also affecting the houses that are currently there by diverting the water. Is this something, I mean, we need to have somebody look at this?
It would have been looked at by the engineers when we accepted that plat and brought it in at that time. They would have had, yeah, they have to be at a certain elevation of finished floor, which is
Right.
basically your living area. And so
But
when
these
that plat
trenches, are those incorporated in the plat too? A trench to divert the water?
that trench is not to divert the water. That is draining the water from the streets and those building paths down to the creek. It doesn't divert the creek. It adds the water to the creek. They have flow off of them from high by the street, and they're cut down so the water does flow that way. But all of that would have been looked at by the engineers back in, when was Fall Creek accepted? 2005?
Yeah, so way back.
You know, they in the plat and with the infrastructure, they would take a look at all of that.
That was discussed when that plat was accepted.
It
It
was.
was very, discussed a lot.
Sure.
Because there was concerns about houses flooding, so.
Well, if there's any way to continue the discussion, I'd love to, because since I've lived there, this was 2017. This was not the 500-year flood. This was just a typical spring flood. That there are houses now in the middle. I don't know if you want to address Mr. Moss there. He's got something to say.
Mr. Moss.
I know Steve and Mary Beth were talking about 2005. I was aware during all that, and I made the comment in public that about flooding down there, and the developer threatened to sue me. Had his attorney call and talk to me, and the understanding was there is floodplain maps on that flood area down there. And if they could build it 2 foot above the floodplain, which meant setting them up on mounds, they could build it, and I needed to keep my mouth shut.
It's so. Again, I'd love to have more conversations. I don't know if that's possible or not. My second follow-up to this question is, I suppose if somebody wants to build that house there in the middle of the creek, and that's kind of going to be on them. But we also have some infrastructure that's going to be involved, and we're going to have water meters there that are now going to be placed in front of these houses, which are going to be in the middle of the creek. And how do we keep the creek out of our drinkable water is what the question is. Are these, I know they're closed systems, but what are we doing to make sure that our water meters don't fill with the creek and things along that nature? What else do we have to think about when we know that we're building infrastructure where the creek goes?
So basically, the way the water system, and it's just like what you said, it is a closed system. So in the way the pipes are built and the connections on pipes and all of that is, they are made to keep stuff out, which is opposed to our sewer system that is made to keep stuff in the pipes. So water meters are underwater all the time. Anytime we have, I live up north farther on the other side, north of Pinnell, and my water meter with rising groundwater will get covered up with water. it is that sealed system, so water doesn't get into them. And like irrigation systems, they have a backflow preventer that are required on them to keep water from coming in the opposite direction also. And those are the main things. It's called a cross connect, so that we don't have any of those cross connects. Those are the main things that we do with our system everywhere, not just down in flood areas.
Anyway, we know.
Well, I see what he's talking about. When the roads go there, are they gonna be built 2 foot above?
No, the roads do not have to be, actually. The roads are part of the stormwater system and the drainage. And I believe Mike brought up at the time that basically these houses, if you build them with the base flood elevation up, you're gonna have little islands out there, and it puts a stress on our fire department to be able to get people out of those houses. That's the conversation I remember out of it. So the developer, and they built that system, was well aware of all of that when it was accepted by the city.
We're having the same problem in the Quail Run subdivision,
Well,
where the
yes.
water runs through the streets and causes flooding, and so now we're having to spend 6 figures to try to control the water there, and it's going to be the same issue here at some point when the developers moved out. This is going to be the city's problem, and I wish there was something we could do about it.
Is it the same developer, Mike, now that,
No, it's
but he would have to be made aware of,
B&B, or wasn't it? It started out with Dick Weston.
Can't think what his name was. B&M or,
It's B&B, Bud and Bud.
no, is that, but, is that when Commerce Bank come and talk to us? Sorry for the.
No, I remember, yeah, I remember.
Anyway, the current builders have this picture, and so they're aware of the flooding issue as well.
So the one other thing that we're doing is we're more stringent now on than what we were back then is the fact that for some of these houses, they've had to give us elevation certifications of the houses because those are houses that are within the 500-year mark. If they build any closer to it and they get into that 100-year mark, there is a whole lot of things more that they have to do to be able to build those houses. And it's not just elevation. There is a bunch of other things they have to do too that they're required to.
so he's made adjustments to the requirements
Yes.
in this area.
So, I'm assuming with some of the flooding we've had, since that, because I remember, like you said, when all that happened, I wasn't on council, but I was at the meetings. Since we've had substantial flooding since then, has our elevation changed? Like, have they went in and rated now the floodplain? Has it changed since that was?
FEMA does those every, I think 2012 was the last time they did it, except for 2017, they went to digital instead of the paper maps.
Since it was platted back then, does that plat meet the current?
Current
plan?
standards? Probably not. And I say that because the standards have gotten tighter since it was accepted by the city. We can't, for the developer and the infrastructure, we can't apply today's standards to something that the city accepted back in 2005.
Even though construction hasn't
Even
started, we can't change the.
Right. There's some of that we can't change. They still get to build it as was accepted back then.
So again,
Now, but the one thing that hasn't changed and that they do have to do is they have, because they didn't build all the houses back then, when they apply for a permit, that permit, they have to apply by today's standards for that house.
So I'll finish up with this, but again, I would love to, if we could get to one of our engineers or our engineer to review this, because maybe things have changed. Maybe when that was accepted in 2005, the floodplain has changed since they last updated in 2012. I'd love to see what's going to happen with the current infrastructure we have now, if that's going to affect the houses that are currently there before they build these new ones. I wish there was a way we could have somebody look at that. And I'm sure that they had their engineers, the developer, but their engineers are more interested in cutting costs, like the storm drains that we had in the Red Oak development. So anyway, I'll finish up with that and move on to my next thing I have with new business here. We need to do something about trash pickup in Lakeside Park. It's a lot of people out there, and that creates a lot of trash. And we have dumpsters in all the other parks, and I think we need to get a dumpster out there just to do something with the trash that's at Lakeside Park. Currently, I throw the bags of trash in the back of my truck and take them to the dumpster at Country Club Park, but I think we need to get something that's more permanent than that. And I know a dumpster would kind of be an eyesore, so I'd love to have a dumpster with a fence around it or something like that. Something that we can do about the trash at Lakeside. I don't know if that's possible.
Steve, do you need to look into that or?
Just get a hold of Republic. See what they say.
That's all I have.
That's all
Thank you.
have? All right, well, I'm going to take point of personal privilege here and talk about Sumac. Or Sumac, as you call it, I'm from the country. I've had a very rough week thanks to Sumac. Along the right-of-ways for the railroad, is there any way that we can require them to keep with city code and remove it?
Short answer is no, it's the railroad.
I'm going to start forwarding my Mercy Clinic bills to the railroad. Because the bad thing is, the right-of-way up there where we are, of course, all of our private properties back up to it, and that stuff just spreads like crazy. It gets in the middle of any kind of sapling, and then you have neighbors that go in to trim stuff, and then they burn stuff, so then you have the smoke, which is even more dangerous. I just did not know if there was anything at all we could do to make them clear it out, but I guess that's a no.
Have we tried asking?
I doubt they would.
I've tried asking the railroad and getting to a responsible person is almost impossible. If you can even find that on other issues, they just won't talk to you. They don't care. They abide by national NTSB stuff on the fifth side. They don't have local contacts. They don't even have regional contacts.
And I know that they're probably not worried about people's allergies, but it is the right-of-way is the worst problem, because then it just spreads out from there and you're constantly doing it. And by our code, we have to remove it. So it comes, starts encroaching on your yards. But if you're really allergic to it, you can't even go out and remove it. So, okay, I just wondered about that, if there was anything we could do. So, Roger.
Nothing.
Rick.
No, ma'am.
Gary.
No, ma'am.
No.
Mr. Talley.
No.
Elena.
No, ma'am.
Mary Beth. Crystal.
No.
Steve, new business.
No, ma'am. Unless you want to talk about transportation to him and out.
Oh, well, maybe we should do that.
Or maybe you want to do that afterwards with just the people that are going to him and out. Either way.
We can do that. That way, anybody who's not going can get out of there. Any new business? All right. I just have to tell you, I am not one of these check off the boxes and kind of people. But I was talking with Steve and Mary Beth before we came. I don't know if you know it, but it is a great honor to me. This is the first city council meeting that a female has ever sat over at Carl Junction. So I don't care if I'm a female alderman. I want to be the best alderman I can be, but this was an honor. So thank you.
Thank you. I would make a motion to adjourn.
Gary is trying to get away from this meeting as fast as he can. Motion by Gary, second by everybody.
Everyone, I think.
Second by Rick Flynn. All those in favor of adjourning? If you vote against it, after the motion. 7-0. We are adjourned.
You sure didn't beat my time.
I'm making history.
You're making history.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're gonna have to-
How is this gonna go? That'll never happen again.
you're gonna have to write it.
I need it for purposes of
Something to shut
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I don't know how much money
Well,
we get.
people had a new business.
I don't know my card.
I can't think their time if they have a new business.
I also would like credit cards.
I am sorry.
Food I eat with.
Well, the alternative is
No problem.
it's dining. I mean, you